So, anyone has questions?
I have a very basic question. That does the Advaita philosophy, the concept of Parabrahma, or is Brahman, I am Brahman, and that is there a concept for Parabrahma, God beyond this so-called Brahman?
Brahman itself is ultimate. There is nothing beyond Brahman. That Brahman is called Param. So, when you say Param Brahma or Parabrahma, that Para itself is Brahman.
I mean, wouldn't that make it kind of atheistic? If I am in all and all is in me, then basically there is no God.
When you understand that I am in all and all are in me, you understand that God, which I thought as external God, alone is Atma. So it's not that there is no God. Now there is refined understanding of God. Because I was not ready to comprehend that, I had to have a form of God and some concept to begin with. Because I was so much in love with my body. As long as that is true, I cannot understand I am Atma. So first, this attachment has to be taken out. And that's why God is given as a symbol, external God. And in the beginning we start thinking, okay, God, so if there is a form, He is somewhere. So you say He is in Kailasha, He is in Saket, He is in Vaikuntha. Some loka you have to identify. Then is He married or bachelor or sannyasi, what is His state? So then He also is grahastha like everyone else. But eventually we understand that God is one expression of this infinite reality. What was your question?
I have actually two questions. I'm still very, very beginner, so I'm still at a stage where I can't separate body, mind, intellect from the home that you talk about.
So don't worry, many people are, including myself, we are right there.
In that context, you need the body, you need the mind, and you need the intellect to even understand what you're preaching to us. Without that, I can't even comprehend, right? So when we talk about home separate from body, mind, and intellect, I'm still not able to put that idea together. And the second thing is you talk about ultimate happiness, no sorrows, etc. So when I think about it, for me, my ultimate happiness lies with my children. So when they achieve something really good, I'm very happy. Something goes wrong with them, I'm very sad. So the only way I feel I attain that bliss is when I overcome that attachment. I'm not able to put two and two together. I can't say I can be blissful. At the same time, as attached to them as I am now. So I almost feel like if I practice Vedanta, I'm probably going to lose my attachment to the children. That's the way I look at it right now, my current state of mind. So how do I reconcile that?
So let's come to first question. First question is, how do I recognize Om or Atma as distinct from body, mind, intellect, where I am not able to even see the difference between these instruments, body, mind, intellect. So we recognize these things, that what I am seeing as individuals, people that I interact with, they have one component called body, right? Then there are feelings which we cannot know or see through the body itself. Like if somebody loves me, body does not indicate it in any way directly. Love is some feeling which is subtler. In the same way, compassion, anger, all these inner moods, they are mental feelings, emotions. And when person is sleeping or dreaming, physical body is there, right there, but it is not giving any emotions at that time. So there is some faculty different from this body which is making this body function and is a seat of all emotions. That is called mind. And to understand all these things, intellectual thinking is involved, including when the mind is disturbed, there is some faculty within which is trying to quieten that mind also. So, or there are questions. For example, you were debating, let us say, whether to go for this session or not. Or first day you attended and you said, what is all this? Or these questions that you have asked, that I see my bliss in my kids' success. And you are saying that I am all this. So this questioning entity is called intellect. So some thinking is going on based on data collected from different sources and your past experience, and you are trying to reconcile everything. That does this make sense? Does this make sense? If this makes sense, but pursuing this, will I jeopardize my past avenues of happiness? And if that happens, which one should I go with? This is all intellect. So now you understood that there are different faculties, they all are functioning, and without that, not a single individual can be there. Somebody may have strong body identity, somebody can have more mental identity, somebody can have more intellectual identity. But all will be there for sure. Right? Now, how to know that there is something other than even these three? So first we have to understand what is it that we are trying to look for. Right? So we have to get enough information, if you want to call, about what is that Om, about which, or Atma, about which scriptures are talking. Because I never heard about that in my school days, in my college, in my companies. Nobody has a startup on Atma. Nobody discusses this. There are no merchandise products about Atma. They are all related to body. In fact, majority is about body only. So this Atma is something totally new for us. First, I have to know enough about what this Atma is. Then this distinction will be possible. To give you an example, let's say I give you a box, or there is a little child and I say, in this box there are blue balls and red balls. Separate them. So the minimum qualification that the child should have is, this color is called blue, this color is called red. If that distinction itself is not known, the discrimination or separation between the two will not be possible. So I have become familiar with what is body, mind, intellect. I have no knowledge of what is Atma yet. So first you gather that. So you will hear terms as they are given in Kaivalya Upanishad, that this Atma is partless, divisionless, existence, consciousness, happiness, etc. etc. Then what we have to do is, when the mind is very busy with other objects, the mind is used to thinking of existence of objects. for example, is apple, right? So when I say apple is, that is the existence of apple. But what is my thought about existence of apple? So it is like this. Apple has color, apple has size, apple has shape, apple has some fragrance, apple has existence. This is how I start thinking in the beginning. So what did I think? It has some attributes and it also has existence. Now this is incorrect thinking. I'll tell you how. All other attributes, they belong to apple. Right? So color can fade, apple can continue. Size can shrink, apple can continue. Taste can go away, apple can continue. If existence goes, there is no apple. It has become non-existent. So existence of an apple is not property of apple, like other things are properties of apple. Existence is the essence of this, without which there is no apple. So now I have to reorient my thinking. And that requires conscious effort. Now, unless I have studied enough to even think of this existence, which is different from the object, and this is just one example, it's not possible. So, I need Shravanam, I need Mananam. Then, when I sit down and meditate, so replay this teaching, then it will start making sense. So it's a process. And now we understand why people had to go to Gurukula and give exclusive time. Because otherwise, to think this way suddenly is not possible. Did you attend all 5 days?
This is the first day I attended all of this.
So I think one of these days I gave the example like 18-wheeler truck.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are there. So this is like where we are right now, and then suddenly you have to take turn. It's a little difficult, but it's not impossible. Okay, so this then you will know, okay, now I know what is being talked about. Or in other words, the real me and the equipments which I think I am. So that separation will slowly take place. Then the other question is, I have been seeing joy in my children's joy and success. And now you are suddenly saying, oh, I am happiness, so what should I do? Will it deprive me of the other happiness that I am getting? So the truth is this. Even when you say that I am happy when my kids are happy or when they are successful, really you are deriving your own happiness reflected in them. Right? Because the same child, if instead of giving success and glory to you, gives failure, then the same child is not any more source of joy. Right? So your joy is not tied to the child. Your joy is tied to successful child, glorious child. The same is true with everyone. When you say that, I am working for such and such company. Company's glory is my glory when company is flying high. If somebody puts a lawsuit on the company and everything starts going down, some people will be the first one to quit. It's a sinking ship now. So, really speaking, our glory comes from subject self, expressed in variety of things, including this body. We love this body only when people praise. they sing good things or talk good things about this. When they say, then we say, oh, I should have different body. So, body is also not real source of joy. If this body itself is not real source of joy, what to talk of anything that comes from this body? Okay, next question. Here, you had raised hand.
Yeah, I was confused on the example of apple. When you say apple, or when you say any object, a chair for example, chair is a concept based on our previous experience, right? A chair can have one leg with four wheels, a chair can have just four legs, So, the example that you were giving, that this existence is the essence, isn't it like, for example, a tree growing in the sky, right? We know tree, we can imagine it also, right? We know, we can imagine a tree growing in the sky, but it does not exist.
Yeah.
But still we can imagine it. So the question is, in principle, I can talk about things that are non-existent, but still I can communicate what I'm trying to say. So I did not understand when you were saying that if that apple in your hand, if it does not exist, then it is of no use or of...
No, I said then it becomes non-existent. If the existence is not there, it will become non-existent. You see the example that you gave, right? Tree in the space or sky. That is absolute non-existence. Because a tree cannot come in the sky. Right? When we talk of apple, it has relative existence. Because you can communicate to people with this as reference. So that is relative reality. It is not only a concept like tree in the sky.
On the BMI chart, one thing that you explained was how BMI and everything that falls below it in black is separate from O, and how the transactional world does not taint the pure content. Does that perspective still show duality between transactional world and if not,
So the question is, the body, mind, intellect, vasana, perceiver, feeler, thinker, etc. They are one degree of reality, and consciousness is another degree of reality. And when you say that this is also there and that is also there, does that create duality? So it is like this. Let's say you have $20 bill, real, transactionable, and you have $20 from Monopoly game, right? Will you say you have $40 because you add 20 plus 20, or you will say I have $20 real and 20 only game dollars, which you don't even mention because you know people don't count that. So, when scripture says that there is Advaitam, they count one real Atma and infinite real objects or infinite number of objects which are not as real as Atma. And therefore, they all are not counted. So when scriptures say Advaitam, they are very clear about what they are talking. When we understand, because we are coming only from Dvaitam, we give reality to plurality, and therefore we never think that, oh, all this has to be understood as lower degree of reality and not to be mixed with that absolute. Different example if you want. Let's say there is one father. He is looking for, he has one son. He is ready for marriage. So groom is there and he is looking for bride for his son. Now day in and day out, when parents go on thinking about, I need to find some girl, I need to find some girl. Then in their dream also they think of the same thing. So one day he was dreaming, and in his dream he found one beautiful bride for his son. Now son is in, or the groom is in waking state and bride is dream state. Can he have marriage between the two? Like that, real Atma and unreal world. No marriage possible, no relationship possible. Therefore, you cannot count this one and this second. But for that, I have to understand that all this is like dream. Until that point, this question will keep coming up. It's a very good question. Systematically, we have to study scriptures for a long time, basically.
So, Swamiji, are these two different planes of existence? So, in order to reach that, I have to transcend the plane from a body, mind, intellect level?
Plane is a way of expressing. It's not that right now I am living in one plane and then I will go in another plane, and by that I'll start either moving higher or something externally will happen. I have to understand that this Atma Tattva does not get affected by anything. Whatever happens to body, nothing happens to Atma. Whatever happens to mind, sense organs, intellect, nothing happens to Atma. And when we say, right, that Atma is beyond intellect, you must have heard of these expressions. Atma is beyond intellect means this intellect will able to know that Atma is beyond intellect. But does not mean Atma is somewhere and now intellect has to jump, grab it. There is no such thing. Atma is everywhere. Just as there is existence in this apple, right? Now, if somebody says, where is existence in the apple? You don't say in this half. It is everywhere. Without that existence, there is no apple. Period. Like that, without the existence consciousness, there is no universe. But it is subtle. And different degree of reality or different plane means that they do not have conflict with each other. And therefore they cannot have relationship also. Just as waking groom and dream bride cannot have marriage, waking groom and dream bride or waking husband and dream wife cannot have divorce. They have to be in the same plane. So no relationship is possible between the two. No conflict is possible between the two.
What's the point of it all then? Why aren't we just realized? Why do we have to go through these planes and why do we come out like this?
What is the point of all these sadhana, studies, and realizing finally that I am Brahman? Because we are ignorant right now, because we are not aware of our true self, therefore there is sorrow. So the point of all this is to become free from sorrow. You look at any child that is born, right? The child is born with ignorant idea about himself or herself. And with that misunderstanding, over every little thing, that child will cry. You can ask your parents. And now also if you see, if you are taking care of children or teaching something, right? That person touched me and they will cry. That person is sitting on my place and they will cry. This game I am not enjoying, they will cry. Anything will be there. And you may say, what is there to cry about these things? But until that maturity comes, they will keep crying. And crying means suffering. So we have been suffering because of misunderstanding. So first thing that should dawn is this, that the real problem is misunderstanding about myself. Temporarily I can find some solutions, like if I am very hungry or I am very thirsty. So you say, understand that you are not body and therefore you will not have hunger, thirst, problems. Understood. And therefore, let's say if the water is not available, food is not available, you don't have to cry and shout that, what is this? Food is not available. Right? Food is not available, prarabdha of this body is like that, what can you do? So with maturity, you deal with solutions, or with the problems and give solutions. The highest maturity is that all this is in different plane of reality. But until we get that, sorrows will not end. Therefore, this is the way to solve problems of my life. In the beginning, we think the way to solve problem is get worldly education, get job, get family, and this is how I will fix all problems. And we go on doing. Then we realize problems are not getting over, in fact they are multiplying sometimes.
You also make progress towards that, and maybe this may be a little bit easier to grasp if you understand and fully accept that there are certain variables out there that are not within your control, and therefore trying to react to those variables, to deal with that, and if you learn to acceptance, in other words.
So I will emphasize on this point and maybe give a bigger picture which I think will be helpful to many people. In our scriptures, whether it is Bhagavad Gita or Vedas, there are two sets of teachings, two areas of teachings. One area is about dharma, the righteous way of thinking and living. And another area is of knowledge, self-knowledge, jnana. Many problems, first they have to be dealt with at dharma level, which is otherwise known as do's and don'ts. So, if there is someone who says, I have desire to eat. So the scriptures say, okay, we have understood that you want to eat. Without eating, you cannot live. So the scriptures will say what to eat and what not to eat. When to eat. How to eat. What to eat means sattvic food you eat, rajasic, tamasic you let go. When to eat, so it will give timings. That don't eat 24 hours just because there is food, whether you are hungry or not, eat or eat. Then there will be problems. So when to eat. Give yourself some discipline. In the morning, after I wake up, then I will do my puja, I will do my japa, I will do my meditation. Only after that I will enter the kitchen for eating. Not before. Even craving for tea, if it is there, guidelines are there. In the night, after a certain time, I will never eat, no matter what comes. Sandhya timings, I will never eat. This is Dharma Shastra's teaching. So it is past 10 o'clock, I will not eat. These guidelines. Then how to eat? First, I will offer it to God. Naivedya. This is all part of Dharma Shastra. So before I start eating, I will remember God. God has given. Like that for everything. Somebody says, I am craving for life partner in my life. I want somebody. Then okay. What kind of life partner you should have? With that partner, what kind of relationship you will have? All those injunctions are given. You will have only one for your entire life. Not that today this, tomorrow that. This is Dharma Shastra. And if it doesn't work out, that means I have failed somewhere in making this work well, and therefore this is it for this life. You don't ask, suddenly about this particular case, that. In general, this is Dharma Shastra. And then grow out of that desire. These things, I want to have children. Okay. What kind of children you should have? How they have to be brought up. All this is in Dharma Shastra. If you have to, give one for society. One for society means make sure that they are brought up where they dedicate their life for greater good, for greater cause. The attachment has to go. Earlier, I think I have 2 children. Then I start understanding, one, I have to prepare for society. I want both. One will remain in grahasashrama and will support society. Another will renounce the world and support society. Or will join military or will become a doctor, some social service, will run some big organization. For that, the child has to be taught tyaga, to let go, to do things for others, selfless activity. So, how to eat, how to sleep, when to sleep, how to get married, how to have children, how to do everything, graha pravesha, everything is described. This is Dharma Shastra, elaborately. When I live my life this way for a long time, that question that you had asked, right? then is there is no God? I have already become such a devotee of God by then. In every thought there is God. So, as though God is inseparable from me, from my life. Then when Vedanta comes and says, God is your true self, I say, thank God. Because earlier I was thinking, there is little difference. Now even that is removed. So that person, instead of thinking that there is no God, he will say, there is no me. This is the right way of thinking. We think, after studying Vedanta, what I have understood is there is no Ishvara. Vedanta says there is no Jiva and there is no Jagat. You see how the whole thing is turned. But if I am not ready, then I have to go at my pace. But Dharma Shastra creates this foundation. Then Vedanta is icing on cake. If everything else is done properly, and Mahavakya is that cherry on top. You can enjoy that only if everything is there perfect. So proper qualification, if we have acquired, good, noble, virtuous life if we have lived, Vedanta will be so easy.
But then, why are we born in such a state? You're saying when a child is born and it has this false sense of self, but why are we born in such a state? Why aren't we born with such open mind? I know we can get there, but why are we born as such? To have to.
Because we did not do any sadhana in the previous lives. So that is why we are here. Those who did spiritual sadhanas, they were born as advanced seekers. And everyone is not the same to begin with. In the sense, in this world also, you will see that somebody is very sattvic. Like in one house also there are two kids. Their taste, twins, one family had come to see me. Many times you will see this. Twins are there, but you ask them, ask the parents, are they both similar? Poles apart. They just look similar, that's all. That means their software is different, operating systems are different. Only the external hardware is same, they look the same. Like you have BlackBerry and iPhone, they look similar. Inside everything is different, how they function. So if we have lot of negativities, to shed them and rise above will be difficult. Purity is required. Things will be challenged. Everything is a challenge then. And this question, why did it start? Why are we born ignorant? Why couldn't we be born enlightened? These questions are not actually looking for the right answer. It is getting puzzled or lost in questions. Lord Buddha, somebody asked these kind of questions to Lord Buddha. So he gave the example. He said, let's say somebody shoots an arrow to you and it strikes right here in your chest. Then what are you going to do? Are you going to ask the question, who shot the arrow? What is the material by which the arrow is made? What is the velocity or speed at which the arrow was shot? How much deep it has gone in? First thing what you are going to do is pull it out. Relief if you are still alive. Then you ask all other questions. Or there is food, right? When you are very hungry, you play sports for 2 hours, 3 hours outside. Then you come inside your house. Then you ask people, what do you think? Should I eat now? Or you don't take any poll, you just open the fridge. Juice. Leftover from 2 days, 3 days, whatever is there, you start eating. Why? Because that hunger is there. And if you are not hungry, mom or dad will call you 2-3 times, come for dinner, come for this. Then you slowly come. What is there to eat? Some vegetable that you don't like. I am not hungry. Then they say, we have cake left over from yesterday. Okay, bring that. Now what happened? You are not hungry. You are not hungry for this food. You are very hungry for everything else. And at that time, this has happened many times. You tell children that this is the food, and this is what you have to eat. They will eat something. After they have finished everything, you say, we have invite called pizza. All are hungry again. At least one slice they will finish. And after that, if you say, now we have ice cream, still hunger is there. But at that time, if you had said, eat one more roti. So, desire to be free, desire for liberation should become stronger. When that happens, some questions will go away. And some questions will go away when I develop more faith in teacher and scriptures. Go away means their answers will come, but they will not become an issue or bottleneck on my path. They will not create obstacle. Otherwise, sometimes what people think, unless I get this answer, I am not going to attend any sessions. There are enough people like that. Oh, who is at loss? They are at loss. You have to start and go on doing something, then results will also come.
So the desire for liberation, is it something that comes to you or you have to work towards it? They say you have to have intense mumukshutvam should be there. Only then all this will make sense. Mumukshutvam, born with it, or you have to develop that mumukshutvam. And if it is to be, if I am supposed to have it, why don't I have it? I enjoy Shravanam, meditating and not doing.
So you have some mumukshutva because you are here attending this camp, satsang, talks. So there is desire for liberation. When we say desire for liberation, sometimes you may not understand what is liberation. Do you want to be free from sorrow or not? There you go. Now you ask that to child. 2-year-old child also, do you ask him, you want to be free from sorrow? Yes. You look at a dog. That dog also, if you take a stick in your hand and just show that you are beating, the dog will run away. Right? What does it show? He doesn't want sorrow. Which school did dog go to? That animal also has the basic instinct, I don't want sorrow. So for freedom from sorrow, you don't need university education. Everyone knows. Child also, when he is sleeping, little baby, and a mosquito comes and starts biting, he'll start crying right away. That crying shows, don't bring sorrow to me. So that everyone has. The place where we look for solution is different. When we look for solution in scriptures, by recognizing our true self, then that attempt of removing sorrow is called mumukshutva. Every attempt of removing sorrow does not get that title, because for that everyone is working day and night. Then everyone would become mumukshu, right? So first I have to strengthen this understanding that elimination of sorrow is through knowledge, because problem is due to ignorance. Then my mumukshutvam means the study, reflection, etc. will be intensified. I will take it seriously. As long as I think there are 5 ways of solving the problem, and one of them is scripture, so 1/5 effort will be there. And if somebody thinks there are 1,000 ways of solving the problem, which is where we are, and by the way, this is also good, it gives me some good feeling, then my mumukshutvam is only to that extent. So I think karma will solve problem, praja will solve problem, dhanam will solve problem, and atma also can solve problem. So mumukshutvam has to be refined. You see, these words, when we understand these words properly, then what we are looking for, why we are not getting it, all those things will be clear. Then some vairagya should be there. If vairagya is weak, dispassion, then also effort will be so-so. For example, you ask one child to study. Okay, so that child is sitting down with his books, laptop, iPad, iPhone, iPod, some other food stuff here, TV on. I am doing homework. And all these other things are distractions in homework. For a successful, efficient completion of homework, what is needed? So you remove all distractions and become single-pointed. That removing distraction is called having vairagya from those things. So we do that everywhere else. You are cooking, and let's say you are trying to do too many other things. Oh, that cooking, it will show. Something will get burnt, something will have no salt, something will have some other thing. Frying pan, whoosh. All sorts of things can happen. But you say, no, I am not going to do anything else. I am just going to focus on this. And it will show in the results.
I think because of our faith in the scriptures and in the word of the Guru, we know that we have to understand the nature of the truth. But for beginning seeker, isn't it equally important to understand the limitations of this world?
Yes.
And to contemplate, really, when we say that, the word is an event of constant change. What does that really mean? And thereby we can place the right amount of value in the experience.
So, that maturity will also come when you start observing the world and see as I say, in our life, we don't have enough time to go through all mistakes and then learn lesson from them. So what should we do? Learn from others' mistakes. If somebody else has done that mistake, you say, okay, I learned the lesson. So in this world also, this world is a big institution. Actually speaking, what scriptures are saying is easy way of learning the lesson. The world as an institution is a costly way. By paying a big price, you learn the same lesson. Scriptures, they say, have vairagya from the world. You say no. Right? Then you go to world. Then world says, come here. I will show you. Beating here, beating there. Where you fall in love, then there is fear. What if I lose this? And when you really lose it, you cry more. So, ultimately you realize you should not hang on to anything in life. Which is what scripture said in the beginning. But at that time I was not ready to listen. So now I go through everything and learn the same lesson. What is the price I have paid? 50 years. Price here is in terms of time. So if I had learned the same lesson earlier, I would not have gone through sorrow for such a long time. So that observing the world is the greatest thing if we can do. Observe your own life, Toys that used to give so much joy at one point, or friends that used to give so much joy at one point, where are they? Or how much clinging I have for them anymore? Life is going on. And if that is true, this also will go. So nothing is really worth getting obsessed about. Therefore it is said you have devotion. Start seeing glory of Bhagavan everywhere. We love some tangible thing. Person, if they are standing in front, I can love this person. If you love God, how to love God now? You love God just like how you fall in love with other people. How do we love people? One is we develop a relationship. Right? Another is we give time. Person that you love, you have time for that person anytime. Whether it in 10 o'clock in the night they come. What are you doing? I am available. We want to talk. And if office people, don't call me after 7. I am very busy. So you give time. Take time to know God. How we give time, to know people. I really have to know you, who you are. Then exchange gifts, You remember when is his or her birthday, then before that, here is card, here is a rose, here is chocolate, everything you give. With Bhagavan also you exchange some gifts. Offer something to God. Bhagavan says offer very simple things. Patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, leaf, flower, fruit, water. That much you give every day. Spend some time there. Talk, chat with Bhagavan. Yeah, I am looking for email address. You don't need any communication. Directly he will listen. That's how we get love. then we realize, other than Bhagavan, what is there? Last question.
We had children. We take them to Baravihar, we do puja, everything, we do the Hindu system, everything. But when they grow up, they lose interest. They take a complete turn. How do you instill some Vedanta and godliness and things like that? Their children who become completely different.
Your kid is not here. Because I see there are individuals who are youngsters and who are active.
They are okay, they are nice people.
So as you see, as I said, everyone is different. So certain children, they really understand that this is important and therefore they pursue this one. Sometimes the children, they think, hey, enough of this, now let me have some quote unquote fun. And their idea of fun is go in the world and do this, that and everything, all this puja, or it also depends on how it is presented to them, this spirituality. If religion and spirituality is presented to them in ugly form, you will never get attracted. And the role model that they have been seeing as representative of religion and spirituality, if they cannot reconcile the two together, the teaching and the model, then also they will have issue. So you have to understand their psychology. In India, we didn't have this problem. But in India, not that everyone was really spiritual or religious. The temple is there, I will do namaskar. Don't ask me to do anything else. And as you said, they are good people. They don't do killing or violence or anything. But they say, I have my own way of thinking and let me do that. And at some point, you might have to agree to that also and surrender and say, I have done my best. Until they were 18, I gave all value. Now it is up to them how they take it up further. But I am always present. If they come back to me and say, Dad, I have this problem. I am in this trouble now. What is the way out? So then you slowly guide them again. But unfortunately or fortunately, there is no brute force method. Do you understand this is how it is? It is not going to work.
But there is no particular, are we pushing them too much? We should not. We should just get away and see how exactly to deal. Just at least.
It is case by case basis. Do you go to doctor without the patient and start talking about patient and expect medicine right away? No, right? Do you go to plumber or electrician without showing them any problem, just hypothetically talk about it and say, tell me how I fix this? You see, this is another problem with individuals. They think Vedanta should work anyway. But other worldly things, for them, you have to be practical. Here you have to be more practical, that you bring your son or daughter. So first issue they will have is, who is this guy that I have to talk to? If they are friends of these people, then let them talk to them. And otherwise, as I said, what you don't learn from scriptures and teachers, they will learn from the world. They pay a little hefty price. Price is in the form of time, another price is suffering. थोड़ा रोने दो उनको, मार खाने दो. Let them get some beating. Then they'll come back. And that time when they come back, they'll be committed. Right now, even if you pull them, they're half-hearted. Okay, you had one question.
I was trying to reconcile the fact that Vedanta is a very abstract science. so to say, science. And science based on facts and figures. Vedanta isn't that way. How to reconcile the two?
Why do we need to reconcile?
Well, because there is a better understanding with science and facts and figures than with Vedanta, because being an abstract concept is not as easy as science is.
When you say science is easy,
Easier.
also, for whom? You take one art student and you go on talking about science. I say this is boring and this is headache.
True.
You take music subject and you give it to a scientist.
It's boring for me.
And he will not get anything. He said, what is this? They are going on. So a subject is easy or difficult for a person depending on their aptitude, their qualification. Vedanta is difficult because of lack of qualification. For science, there is different qualification. Because you have given GRE, because you have given SAT, because you have given all different tests, you have prepared yourself analytically so much that science appears to be easy. You prepare yourself with Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama, then you see is Vedanta easy or not? Vedanta is most easy. It is lack of Vairagya. If you want to boil down to one thing, lack of mumukshutva, lack of surrender. Vedanta is not difficult. Qualification. Postdoctoral study is difficult for whom? Who has not done PhD. Somebody who just walks in and says, I want to do postdoctoral study. Somebody was mentioning, first time when you listen to Gurudev's talks, where you don't have qualification and Gurudev is talking on Upanishad, 1 whole hour you will be sitting there, hardly understanding a single word. But those who are qualified, they say, this is what I was looking for. Keep going. Enjoy. It's a treat. But for unprepared person, he will love his watch that day so many times. What is the time? When is 1 hour getting over? Because no qualification. We never have to think this way that Vedanta and science have to come together. There is no need. Vedanta is independent subject, stands on its own, has different subject matter, has different qualification required, and different type of student is expected there. Somebody who might have conquered great things in the world may be pre-K student in Vedanta. Pre-K. And somebody like many our great saints and sages who were illiterate, they were masters in Vedanta. They never had to go to any Ivy school. No exam, nothing. Okay. Hari Om. Om. many of you are from local here? Virginia, Maryland, DC. But you all are not working this week. You have taken off. You are working. Take prasad and go. Those who have to go first, they can